Okay, so let us start. We'll start with applying the water on our paper. So applying the water onto the whole of our paper to make sure that it stays wet for all our strokes. Okay, so now that we have applied the water, let us start painting. We'll start with a beautiful Indian yellow shade, and we're going to apply it in the middle and all the way down. Okay, so somewhere in all of these regions, that's where we're going to apply the Indian yellow. So make sure that you apply it nicely such that it's clearly visible, and also on the left up until here. Okay, now that we've applied the Indian yellow, let's go with the other beautiful colors. So we have orange, and it's going to be some orange shades here. So it's going to be a mixture of these orange and the Indian yellow. So that's why I'm applying on top of the Indian yellow here, and you can see that it's clearly mixed into a beautiful shade. And then we start going up, but as we start going up, we're going to start it with a nice pink shade. Okay, so let's get that beautiful pink in the sky there. That's the pink shade. Okay, there's just too much water here because it's formed a dent in my paper, so I'm just gonna absorb it and move it around. That's quite simple, isn't it? Just move around the extra water. This is what I always say, don't form any large pools. I'm not listening to myself. Anyway, so there is the pink shade. And we start applying that on the left side as well, forming a nice red shade at some places, and then we'll mix a little bit of the blue to it, so that'll be mixing up indigo. So when you mix up indigo, you can see it creates like a nice purple shade. So there's the indigo, and I'm mixing my pink, so it creates a nice purple shade, and that's what's going to go over the top regions and here towards the left side. Okay, and here, so at the bottom you can see that it transitions into a little bit of brown shade, which is exactly what we want. Okay, and there, I think that's good enough there, and we'll add some more nice strokes, and here it transitions into a brown shade in these yellow regions. Okay, and so now we'll go first with orange and add some nice orange on the top. So there's the orange, and adding the nice orange on the top. Okay, just at certain places, don't add in all the places because we want that yellow to be seen. You know where the lightning is, you can clearly see the yellow. And then we go with the brown shade. So here is transparent brown, and using transparent brown, I'm gonna add on the top and get those darker shades in the sky. Okay, so here is the brown, and get it on the top. So have some nice yellow strokes there, so we need to keep that area slightly lighter. Then go with the brown shade at the top there. Again, you can see, okay, so you can see the gap of yellow that we've created. Okay, then go with the brown shade at the top. So this brown is what is going to separate the yellow from the blue shade, otherwise it'll create greens. Okay, so you can just see, we can blend all of this. Okay, And now let's get the blue. So the dark blue indigo. Okay, there's the dark blue indigo, and that's what we're going to apply here at the top. Okay, there, get the dark stroke on the top. We can also top it up with a little bit of Payne's gray if you want it to be absolute dark at the top. Okay, so I'm topping it up with Payne's gray at the top, and these regions where it's brown, that's what mixes up with the blue so that we don't create any green with our yellow. Okay, so here let me take up that brown again because I want to blend it up in that region. Okay, can you see it's blended up, and then we'll create nice cloudy forms with the darker blue. Okay, the darker brown shade. Why am I saying wrong colors? Okay, anyway, so now let's pick up more brown, and now we need to add darker clouds on the top. So this time you can go for sepia if you're not getting this dark color. Okay, but there you can see how I'm adding these darker clouds on the top with my brown shade. Okay, and some darker cloud here as well. So let me mix up that pink shade again, that purple shade again. So there it is, but I need to make sure that I don't introduce any extra water while I'm doing this. So there, and then mixing it up into that region and getting it to blend smoothly. Okay, so there, we've got that smoothness. Need to make this region a bit smooth. Okay, I think that region is smooth. What I need is a little bit of orange there. Let me absorb all the water. And a bit of orange shades there. Okay, even here at the bottom, and towards this region as well. We want it to be slightly having that orange shade. So here I've mixed my yellow with the orange shade and blended it along. Okay, now you can see how the whole thing has been blended and got beautiful clouds as well. Okay, so let's get some blue on the top. So here is my Prussian blue, and I'm going to add that Prussian blue here at the top just to get nice blue. Okay, you can also go with bright blue, so let me try my bright blue. And okay, that was too much water, so I need to absorb it. And there, so I've added some nice blue strokes. Okay, I think this is good enough. What we can do is now wait for the whole thing to dry so that we can add in the lightning and the foreground. Okay, everything is now completely dry, so we're gonna use the white gouache paint to add in the lightning strikes. Okay, so I'm also going to use my liner brush because that gives me thinner lines. So go with a smaller size brush you have and make sure that the tip is pointed, so you can see how pointed the tip is, and that's what I'm going to use for adding those lightning strikes. Okay, so I'm going to start in this white zone. Okay, this is where we're going to start, in this white region, and add some shaky lines. Okay, nice and shaky all the way down. And again, another joining that one. Okay, and then we'll have branches coming out of each of them. Okay, there, branches coming out of this. Okay, then we'll have some here. So let's add in the lightning strike here on the left side. Okay, then let's have the smaller branches. Okay, there, we have added in the nice branches. So I'm adding like a small light source here just to make it brighter. Now what we need to do is make sure that this is completely dry. I'm just gonna show you a little trick. Okay, this region is now completely dry. Now what I'm gonna do is observe closely. This is like a trick to get that lightning. So I'm using my flat brush, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna apply some water on the top. Okay, so that is gonna make all of those white paint to spread out. Okay, you can see it's causing the white paint to spread, but don't let it spread too much. So we just need to make sure that it's somewhat lighter, and also we need to soften our strokes, because if we keep that line of water, then it's gonna get messed up. So just blend out that water area. There, I've just blended out that water area. Okay, or you can just use a tissue as well, or a piece of cloth, to make sure that you absorb all that water from the edge of your lightning source. Okay, or the paper. Okay, now you can see that it's slightly lighter on that area. Okay, let us dry this up. Okay, now that it's completely dry, we're going to re-add those lightning strikes. So this trick was because we wanted those lightning strikes to have like aura, or what do you say, like a soft edge to it, but then have that lightning strike in the middle. Okay, so that is why we did that spreading. But trust me, if it's not possible and you're afraid that it's going to ruin your painting because your paper is still wet, or because your colors are going to come loose, then don't attempt it. Okay, so otherwise you can go ahead and try it on your own, and forgive me if it ruins your painting. Okay, so there, now I've added. Okay, added those lightning strikes. Now we just need to add in the foreground. So for adding in the foreground, let's go with a beautiful brown, the burnt umber shade, and we'll just add the base. Let's fill up the base first. So I'm going with a brown shade and not black. Okay, so we need it to be a dark brown shade. You can go for sepia or Van Dyke brown and colors as such, but make sure that you don't use black, because we want it to have that little brightness along with the yellow shade that we've added. Okay, so we're gonna have some trees and some trees here. Okay, and then let's add the tree shapes on the top. Okay, so just adding some random shapes, you can see that. Okay, and here so this is the reason why we painted the lightning first and then the trees, because we want the tree shrubs to go on top of the lightning, because the lightning is kind of behind those trees. Okay, okay. Adding some more shrubs and bushes to cover this bottom part. Okay, yeah, I think that's good enough. We're not creating exactly as it is in the picture. Okay, this is just covering up something at the base so that we do have a foreground. And I think that's it. Let's wait for this to dry so that we can remove the tape. Okay, everything is now completely dried. Let us remove the tape. And here is the final painting. I hope you like it.